Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Deb Coviello, and this is Live Talk Media, Drop-In CEO, Live Talk Media. And I have an amazing guest, a great colleague of mine, Christy Metcalf. Simply welcome to our conversation today.
Hi, Deb. Thanks so much for asking me to be here.
Yeah, so I can't wait to have this conversation, but just so everybody knows, Christy happens to be the founder of CEO Learning Systems and co-founder of Two Smart Girls. She is filling a gap, providing coaching services to people to have the right tools, the mindset to build the careers and lives that they want. And I've just had an amazing time getting to know her. She was also on the Drop-In CEO podcast, episode 43. You got to listen to that. And so you are going to have an amazing conversation with me. So let's just get to it. I have a pain point. I was just asked by my podcast coach today, we're thinking of my 100th episode of my podcast. And he says, might be a great idea to bring on a mentor. Is there any mentor or people that were critical in your career that really helped you along the way? And I said, I didn't have a mentor. I didn't have support systems. Yes, I had managers, leaders, and bosses, but I felt like I had to slug at it myself to try to manage the intricacies of corporate, be successful in my career, but it was often lonely, and I had to do it myself. And again, technically I was supported, but it's really, really lonely. So there's not a lot of support in some cases in the corporate world. And I'm wondering if you've experienced similar observations as far as where do we find the support when we need it?
I have, Deb. And I would love to ask, did you not ask for the support because you felt like they were busy or too busy to spend time on you, or was it another reason?
I'm not actually sure if I even knew enough as an up and coming employee to ask for certain kind of help. I did have one-on-ones. We talked technically about what I needed to do regarding my my tasks, my projects, but very little around personal development. Here's the situation. Here's what we observe. Here's how you can improve. It was more of like, you need to increase your negotiation or influence skills. Let's sign you up for a course.
Right.
Good luck.
Yeah, I hear that so often. And so, I have done leadership development with corporations, Fortune 500s for the last 20 years. And one of the things that we hear most often is, I didn't even know what I didn't know. So that's the first thing that you just articulated. The second thing is that we have this feeling that we don't want to ask someone to spend their valuable time on mentoring us because it will take away from the work that they do. And here is what I always like to say when it comes to leadership. The number one responsibility and role of a leader is to develop other leaders. 80% of their time should be developing leaders who are coming up through the company, who are going to take their place at the table. And yet we feel this sense of obligation. We don't want to ask, we don't want to infringe on their time. And yet people have this innate instinct and nature to want to help other people be successful. And many times, they do get wrapped up. I will say leaders get really wrapped up in their roles and their jobs and what they're doing and delivering results, that they don't stop and really make that available to people. But when they are tapped and asked to do it, they do it willingly, excitedly. And we also need to realize what a mentor is and what a mentor isn't, right? So a mentor is someone who can help guide you and look for derailers and roadblocks in your area. It is not a counselor. It is not a therapist. You truly have to have a plan of what you want this person to help you do. And I believe that mentors can, our mentors should be laterally as well as vertically. So there are people in different roles and positions that may be on the same level as we are that can definitely mentor us in a different area of expertise and different role and assignment. But then there are definitely those mentors, vertically, that are where we want to get to. And we have to be willing to put ourselves out there and to ask for help. And what don't I know? And how do I remove some of these barriers to getting where you are today?
All right. And I love what you just said. That is the message I want to drive home. And mind you, there are great companies. There are great leaders that influence and help people. But I would like to propose that the thing leaders should be thinking about is how are you inspiring? And inspiring is a little bit different. It's getting people to think differently. It's helping people to elevate themselves. And I love what you said. A leader's job is to create other leaders. And I don't think in corporate with the CEOs lately, we're talking about that as much. Yes, to your point, deliver results, but it's to develop the next leader and how best to do that.
And that is their work. I mean, I try to instill that. That is their work. That is their role, and their only responsibility is to develop the next set of leaders that will come. And, having done leadership development for so many years, when our leaders grow, the organization grows. And leadership is a mindset. It is not a position. It is not a title. It is not someone who says, yay, you're a manager, now you're a leader. A leader happens at every single level of the organization.
Yeah. So let's switch this up. So well said, well said. So just, thought, because we're going to get into, we get this. We are trying to solve this big problem that I don't think people are really talking enough about. We usually work with people at a point where maybe they've lost their confidence. They feel unsupported. And I would love to be able to work with people at a place when they're ready, et cetera. But when we think about people in that position, you and I have both been in roles where we really weren't completely supported, maybe didn't have a mentor. When you think about those either emerging leaders or people that are really high performers in their industry and not supported, where can they go to get support if it doesn't exist in the environment that they're in?
Yeah, that's a great question, because many times we feel reluctant to ask our own organization. So I would recommend, some of those support systems. You can find industry networking groups, right? That's always a go-to. So if you're in the aerospace industry, if you're in the engineering industry, there's all of those network groups that are out there and available to you. I think that many times we don't think of it, but many times, the true definition of a coach is to help those type of people get unstuck in their careers and really develop and create a path. And, many times people are like, is a coach, is it a therapist? Is it a counselor? Is it a consultant? And a coach really is taking you where you are today and where your vision is for the future, and then derailing and getting you out of the way of those obstacles and those hurdles and those things that most of the time are mindset related, but there are some skill related sets. And, I think volunteer work is another social system. So I always say volunteer places that you love and that you are inspired by and that you truly want to help change, not a place where you think you can make connections or that you can further your career. So when people join a volunteer organization and they are only there to meet and greet and to rub elbows, it comes through loud and clear. But when you are there because you have a purpose and a mission and you are inspired what the organization does, usually it's very personal and the reason you've chosen that, then just by the sheer nature of who you're meeting and the people that you're talking to, those relationships and those connections are formed. And I always say mentors and leaders and teachers come in the most various places. It's not when you're looking for them, but it's where they're planted and where you are planted and having fun and enjoying what you're doing.
That's beautifully said. I so agree with that. And you've made a really great point in those community social organizations, because they'll see you for who you are. And when you least expect it, they're going to say, you've got a gift for whatever. And those moments are beautiful to lift you. And I'll agree with you, those professional organizations, I'm currently mentoring about 4 professionals, and they're thriving of it because, again, there's that thing where we have commonality in the organization, but then they cherish, appreciate the experience. And by the way, I'm learning so much from them in that relationship. Mentorship goes both ways.
Yes. So, Jack Welch. So Jack Welch was a favorite, GE. He talked openly about having reverse mentorship, and that he always, every 2 years, I think it was every 2 or 3 years, he would actually have a mentor on his staff that was in their 20s. And the reason that he did that, it's because of that reverse learning from each other, right? There were things about technology and what was going on in the world that they had a different view of, a different perspective, a different paradigm of. And then Jack would mentor them as well. But he said, it is so valuable that you realize that learning comes from different places, different phases, different stages of life, not just the people who are ahead of you, but the people who are behind you that can help you see blind spots and things that you never would have seen on your own.
All right, beautiful. So there's two components to this that I want to bring it in about, what I can do as well as yourself, because you're very talented, and we are just trying to make a difference. So when we think about, business leaders and CEOs, we understand you're trying to run a business and work on returning the value to clients, consumers, et cetera. So you need a guide or somebody to work with you. So I go in and do blended business solutions. I'll solve a particular business problem in operations, continuous improvement, in their quality organizations. But along the way, I provide that coaching to get people to break through what they're doing. And at the same time, I also provide the high performance leadership course, because for individuals that recognize I'm not getting it via my normal support systems, I provide that as well. So I think there's so much work that can be done. And I'll tell you the thing about the coach, I got a book coach, I got a podcast coach, and I got a branding coach. And you know what? They're all younger than me, and they're really, really helping me. So beautiful that these support systems can help both the business leader that knows they need this kind of help and partnership, and the individual. So yourself, what is it that you do that helps provide these support systems for companies or individuals?
Yeah, so I've mentioned that I've done leadership development, sales and leadership development for the last 20 years. And then a couple of years ago, I decided to branch out in a different direction and really impact on a personal level more than an organizational level. And so I helped co-found a coaching organization that is truly dedicated to women who want to make the leap from corporate America into owning their own business. And that comes from a whole host of reasons. They want freedom of their schedule. They want freedom of financial security, all of these different freedoms. That's the word that usually comes up. But it comes with a huge mindset shift of really going from an employee and working for someone else into stepping into an entrepreneurship role and really becoming the CEO of their life and their company, because the two, as you well know, are merged together. And so one of the support systems is, we try to give them the nuts and bolts, but also anticipate the challenges and derailers that are out there. But one of the things we talk about is very few of these women have a support system in place. They had a support system while they were in corporate America, where you picked up the phone, you called someone, you called a colleague that you worked with for years, and work just sort of happened because that was what was the expectation. But now you're on your own. You don't know things about financials. You don't know how to sell. You don't know how to put content out on social media. You don't know how to make yourself visible so that people will know what you're doing. And so we really provide that support for them, taking what they have done that's been successful and created results and repackaging that and reinventing it into applying that into their own business.
All right, so fantastic. So if people wanted to connect with you, how can they find you?
Yeah, you can find us at www.smartgirls.com. We're out there that way. We're also on social media, TWO instead of the number 2. You can find us just about anywhere. And then I'm on LinkedIn as well, Christy Metcalf. And we would love to connect. Many of the clients that we help, what you talked about, afraid to ask for support, afraid to ask for help, not knowing what they don't know, and really success. And Deb, you know this, being an entrepreneur, success really lies in the foundation that you build from the early beginnings and the relationships that you meet and make. So those are the things that we're trying to help them see what is out there and what they are capable of.
All right, fantastic. And to the CEOs and business leaders that I serve, I am your partner to help you elevate your business through rapid change, but at the same time, elevate your people and give them the skills that you know they need that may not be able to demonstrate at this time, or if you don't have the capacity. So dropinceo.com/contact. Let's continue the conversation. Christy, thank you for an amazing conversation. I so value this friendship, and just thank you so much.
Thanks, Deb, for having me. It's always a pleasure to work with you.
All right, be well.
Bye.